My name is George Blankenship, and on behalf of all the employees of Tesla, I want to welcome you here tonight and thank you for coming. I'd like to especially give a thanks to those who went the extra mile to be here tonight. We have people here from actually 30 states across the US. And when you reach out beyond the oceans, we actually have people here from 18 countries around the world. So, go Tesla. Thank you very much. You're great. You're just great, great, great customers, and we love you all. And then on top of that, I'd like to also reach out to those who are actually watching us on the live webcast, especially to some people in Northern California and Southern Florida who were pretty special to me. And then on top of that, I'd like to thank everybody in Europe who's up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning watching. So thank you all very, very much. You're very special. What I'd like to do is I'd like to welcome you to our Los Angeles Design and Engineering Studio. This is one of the buildings. One of the buildings at Tesla where incredible things happen every day. Innovative, creative things. And we're going to share one with you tonight that we're actually very, very excited about, and we think you will be too. It's really quite awesome. Actually, I'm so excited because we've been going through rehearsals today, and I've actually got to see it, and it's actually extraordinary. And it's not a coincidence that we are here in California. What I mean by that is we love California. We have our design and engineering studio here. Our corporate headquarters are in Palo Alto, and we are going to build our cars at the Tesla factory in Fremont, California. We are very, very closely connected to California, and we have a very special guest here tonight, very, very special guest who's been very supportive throughout the years, and it is my pleasure to introduce tonight the governor of the great state of California. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Jerry Brown. Jerry, thank you for being here.
All right.
All yours.
Well, okay. Well, great to be here. You know, you got a rocket ship next door, and you know, as Governor Moonbeam, I love rocket ships. But I also like electric cars. And California has set the tone, set the goal for the whole nation. And isn't it great that California has a manufacturing plant of today, which is also a plant of the future. We're setting the role, we're setting the pace, and you all here tonight are here to celebrate that and give evidence to the fact that California is on the move. Now, we got our problems. We got our problem characters, some of them in politics, some in business, some in other places, but we got a lot of tremendous creativity. And being in a design center really makes the point that it's about design. And instead of fighting all the old battles, we need to imagine how we can change the design. Because we can work our way out of our mess with creativity and openness and the kind of spirit that is willing to take risks and not get bogged down with all the garbage that we talk about most of the time. So I'm glad to be here, and I don't know what else is next, but that's all I got to say.
Good. That was good. Thank you. Sure. Step over here. Okay, let's hold here. Thank you. That was great. Always happy to have a VIP in the crowd. It's great. I now have the honor of introducing the person who on a daily basis at our company pushes the ideal that nothing is impossible. Nothing. And he also reminds us every day of two things. One is that everything we do is going to make a difference. And two, everything we do for you. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elon Musk. Why don't you come over and get some pictures? There you go.
Thank you. So, do you want to take a photo?
Yeah.
All right. Voila.
Well, that's what the state car should look like.
Excellent.
All right.
What? Sure, I'm going to buy 3.
Thanks a lot.
All right, well, welcome everyone. I want to start off by just explaining a bit about Tesla. I mean, why did we create Tesla? What was the purpose of the company? We created Tesla to make a difference in the world. The world desperately needs sustainable transport. If we don't solve this problem this century, we are fracked. So the thing is, if you don't make compelling electric cars, if you don't make electric cars that are not almost as good as gasoline cars, not as good as electric cars, but if you don't make electric cars that are better, then it's not going to happen. So that's really the mission of Tesla, is to apply creativity and innovation to create the most compelling cars in the world, bar none. We want to show that electric cars are, in fact, better than gasoline. I'd like to just touch on one point before getting to talk more about cars, which is just to show, if you have an electric car in California, you use only you create only a quarter as much CO2 as an equivalent gasoline car. This is important because sometimes people will say, well, sure, it's an electric car, but haven't you just moved the problem of CO2 production from the car to the power plant? So even if if you're just taking your electricity directly from the meter in California, you're only creating about a quarter as much CO2 as you would with a gasoline car. So, yeah. And even if you're in the worst case situation, which is West Virginia, you're still producing less CO2 per mile with an electric car than with a gasoline car. So you're still ahead of the game. And then if you happen to be in Vermont, you're if you happen to be in Vermont, you're producing almost no CO2 per mile. And then there's a situation which is even better, which is if you install solar power. Yeah, I know a company that's pretty good at that. If you install solar power, you can easily produce more electricity at your house than you consume in your car. So that's an incredibly sustainable solution. That's addressing both the production and the consumption of energy. So our goal at Tesla has always been to create cars that no one thought was possible. We started with the Roadster. So I think some people drove the Roadster here today. So for the longest time, people said a car like the Roadster was impossible. It was like some fictional creature. So we had to show that you could create an electric car, an electric sports car that totally changed the paradigm of what people thought about an electric car. Because people used to think electric cars were slow and they were kind of ugly and they had low range and they sort of looked like a golf cart. Well, the Tesla Roadster is one hell of a golf cart. So we created a car that is actually faster than most gasoline sports cars, that has a long range, and that looks pretty good. And that car was really what got the electric car revolution started. And no less a person than Bob Lutz, who is vice chairman of GM, when he saw us unveil the Tesla Roadster, he took our press release down to his team and said, look, if a little company in California can do this, then so can General Motors. So, and that's what really got the ball rolling. And then there came the Nissan Leaf and many other electric vehicle programs. And then in partnership with our awesome partners, Toyota and Daimler, with Daimler we did the electric smart car, we did the Mercedes A-Class, all electric. And with Toyota, we've created the electric RAV4 that's going to come out later this year. So our goal is not, Tesla is really a hardcore technology and design company. The way that we don't really want to keep technology close to our vest. And that's why we've really done our best to bring that technology to mass market by working with companies like Toyota and Daimler, and perhaps others in the future. So we went from the Roadster to the Model S. And we took everything we learned from the Roadster, which is now in 31 countries, and with the help of our partners, Daimler and Toyota, who've been great mentors to us, we've tried to create the best car in the world, and the most advanced car in the world, and I think we've done that with the Model S. In fact, the Model S, despite being a much larger car than the Roadster, actually has more range. We pushed the range up to 300 miles. So it's really something, I think, pretty special. And we're going to be starting deliveries no later than July of this year. So, okay. So the Model S has a lot of cool things. I won't dwell too much on the Model S. It's going to go off stage now. But it's got great things like the 17-inch touchscreen display. And I should mention that we really believe in having electronics in the car that are as good or better than consumer electronics. Because people are used to going from having their cell phone, the iPhone or iPad or Android phone, and when they go to the car, the electronics are worse. Well, we said, well, why does that have to be the case? So let's have a screen that's actually better than your MacBook Pro. So we tapped the Apple supply chain and said, well, let's take away the constraints that make a laptop screen worse, because the laptops have to conserve energy. So we increased the contrast level, we increased the light lumen level, and so you actually, when you go to the screen on a Model S, you're going from a screen that on your laptop is actually better than your laptop. So there's a lot of things like that. And the Model S also has 5+2 seating. So it's seating for 5 adults plus 2 kids, which I need personally. So, but when we designed the Model S, we created a platform. So it's not just a single car. We created something on which we could build many cars. And we're able to leverage that and bring another car to market fast. And that's really what the Model X is all about. So with the Model X, what's the problem that we're trying to solve? Well, minivans have lots of room, but not much style. SUVs are big on the outside, but they tend to be small on the inside. The minivans and SUVs have been trying for years to overcome these problems. Here we see the first attempt at that. Not bad, not bad. And people kept iterating over the decades. It's not clear it got better. And then, we've got things like say the Audi Q7, which is, it's not bad. We have one here, so you can take a look at it and compare it to the Model X. And I actually have an Audi Q7 personally. And then you can also have things like say, the Honda Odyssey minivan. I don't have one of those. So you've got functionality with the minivan. You've got style with the SUV. And then what's the third missing element? Well, how about performance? So what if you could have a car that has more functionality than a minivan, more style than an SUV, and more performance than a sports car? That's the Model X. So one of the main inventions of the Model X is something that we call the Falcon Wing doors. So, and driving the car is Franz von Holzhausen, our head of design. And then we've also got 6 of the key engineers and designers behind the Model X. You'll notice these are not small people. So with the Model X, we wanted to create something, we really wanted to create a door that was better than any other door. This is something that's very important for, you know, something like a minivan. You have that sliding door. Well, how do you create something that's better than a sliding door? We went through many iterations. This was not an easy thing to figure out. And the thing that makes this unique is it's a split gull. It's like a gull wing, but it's a split gull wing. So we call it the Falcon Wing. That's really important because with the split gull wing, with the second hinge, we're able to make it such that the door opens out very, very slightly. And it being so tall, you can do things like stand up inside the car. You can't do that in any other vehicle. So it also has the only roof opening. So even if you're in the rain, it's protecting you from the rain. And one of the things that's nice about this is, like, let's say you've got a child seat here. And if you put a child seat here, normally what you'd have to do is you'd have to cantilever yourself over the car and try to put your kid in. In this case, you can actually just step into the car and put your kid down. So it truly has seating for 7 adults, like 7 real adults. And you can also do things, you can step directly into the 3rd row. So, a little unwieldy. So, ordinarily I'd move the seat, but I don't want to wait for that. So, the thing about this is that normally if you have an SUV and you have a child seat in the 2nd row, it's extremely difficult to use the 3rd row. It's almost impossible. So with the Model X, you can actually do that. And it really fits perfectly everywhere you go. So this is a Roadster in a garage. It's actually my garage. And this is the Model X. So the doors don't go any higher than a normal SUV rear hatchback would go. So if you can open the hatch on an SUV, you can open the Falcon Wing doors. I want to show an illustration. Oh. So we've designed the Falcon Wing doors such that if you can physically fit between your car and another car, you can enter the door. It actually has more accessibility than any minivan sliding door, because normally you'd have the sliding door in the way when you're trying to get in. So, I mean, I'm sure we've all been in a parking lot where somebody's parked really close to us and we can't get in. You won't have a problem with the Falcon Wing doors. We've really tried to create something which is perfect for everything you do. So, what can I do in my Q7? Well, when you actually have the third row up, you've got basically no cargo space. You can fit a couple of sleeping bags, a backpack, and a rope. With the Model X, we've got a third row seat plus tons of space for baggage. And all the seats fold flat. I mean, you can practically fit a queen-size bed in there. So just think of all the things you could do with this space. I mean, this car can do anything you want. It's crazy. Fit a bike in there. You can travel. Practically move house. What an EV architecture really allows is that all this stuff that is normally there, that would normally be in the front of a car. So you'd ordinarily have this huge engine, and you might have a big transmission in the back. You'd have a fuel tank and a catalytic converter and an exhaust, all sorts of stuff that just takes up room. We give all of that room back to you. There's something in the front you didn't expect. I didn't expect it either. The other major invention associated with the Model X is dual motor all-wheel drive. So we actually have a motor in the front and a motor in the rear. So despite having a motor in the front, you actually have this enormous trunk. And what dual motor all-wheel drive gives you is the best all-wheel drive experience of any car, period. Because you can dynamically shift power from front to rear, depending upon what has got the most traction. So thousands of times a second, the car is figuring out where the most traction is and shifting power front to rear. This is something you can't do in a regular all-wheel drive where it's just a dumb mechanical linkage. So this has incredible road holding and traction. And we've also designed it such that we're able to shift power according to how you want to turn. So it actually has an incredible turning radius. We think it may actually have a turning radius that's better than a Mini in an SUV. So this is really a very powerful thing. And also does something with respect to performance. So let's say a car you're probably familiar with, the Porsche 911 Carrera, does 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. Model X, 4.4 seconds. So you've got something that's the size of an SUV, it's faster than a Porsche. Model X gives you functionality, style, and performance. There's no other car like this. So just going over that again, what was the problem? Well, there were 77 years of cars that, well, didn't really quite do it. With the Model X, we've got the Falcon Wing design, we've got mountains of storage, seating for 7 adults, incredible performance. So, the Model X. This is a product you're going to love. So you may be wondering, how do you get one? Reservations will be done the same way as the Model S. We'll have the Signature Series and then general production. We'll start production towards the end of next year, probably deliver a few units, and then bulk production will start in 2014. So when can I sign up? Tomorrow at noon, reservations go live at teslamotors.com. But you can reserve one tonight. All right. So the Model X, so come up on stage. You're welcome to come on stage and check the car out and have a great party.